You're listening to The Bon Ray Show. It's 8 in the evening. Tune in every night at 8 to listen to The Bon Ray Show on Irish News Radio or ITV. The Bon Ray Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. Today is Wednesday. Is the Salmon of Wednesday, the knowledge. We're today talking about Sharia law and what Sharia is. Like when I was breaking down a few weeks ago, when one of the Knowledge Wednesday, I was breaking down what Islam was, and I was explaining to you that it's based up of the Quran, the Sunnah, and the Hadith. Sharia is based on the Quran, the Sunnah, and the Hadith, all put together. It's a political system. It's nothing like what we have. We have nothing to compare it. There is nothing in other values. It's complete ideology. So we will go through the breakdown. There's a misconception that people think that, Muslims have a choice, and Muslims like to, and the extreme Muslims are the ones who practice Sharia law, and there are other friendly little Muslims, they don't practice it. That's completely false and fake. If you are a Muslim and you're in an Islamic country, you have to follow by the law. If you're a Muslim in most of the country, in all the countries now in the West, they're bringing it in, and because of our governments and the authorities are completely turning a blind eye to it, it is growing and spreading. So I will explain what exactly it is. Now, there are some people who are born into an Islamic family, another family have either been in a country for a long time and they're not hugely aware of a lot of it, and that's great. But this is the reality of Sharia law, so let's explain it. As I said, there's many misconceptions. Islam is a political system that has its own body of laws called Sharia, which is made up of the Quran, Sharia, Muhammad's biography, and the Hadith, Muhammad's traditions. Muslims consider it to be superior of all man-made laws. Many Sharia laws concern non-Muslims and how they are to be treated. Every demand that a Muslim makes is based on the idea of implementing Sharia law in the West. What does Sharia mean for the West and non-Muslims? What's long-term effects? Islam is a political and a religious doctrine. So for the political system, it's for everybody. For the religious, it's only for Muslims. So practicing courts are in the UK. There's 80 practicing courts in the UK that discriminates against women, and that and discriminates against non-Muslims. For Muslim leaving Islam, it's punishable by death. Adultery, for obviously a woman, is punished by lashing, or in some, by death. Now, for a man, because he can have 4 wives and sex, right? So it's very different. I'll talk about that. There's one law for women and non-Muslims, and a completely different law for males, Muslim males. Now, for adultery, it's also for stoning. But adultery can include rape, because there's no such thing as adultery, or there's no such thing as rape in Islam, and you have to have 4 witnesses to say that she was raped. So it's never going to happen, and she will be sentenced to either lashing or stoned to death. Islamic Penal Code. European courts have stifled free speech Authorities have failed to prevent Islamic preachers inciting violence and hate to non-Muslims. But yet they are stifling our freedoms. Islam has become a protected minority. In the EU, it is a crackdown on indoctrinate Sharia laws, principles, and are enforced. Jewish in Europe are leaving, and this has intensified. Sharia tribunals operate in the UK and Europe, who defend the right to use violence on women. Rape is for control. A lot of people in the West, when the so-called refugees came in, were confused about why they were so violent and raping so many women and gang rape. They were like, oh, are they extremely horny? Is this because they don't see women, in normal clothes? Is this why they don't see women? They actually were so naive that they actually thought it was something to do with their sexuality suppressed. No, it's because of Sharia law and what it teaches. Islam teaches against women. It's like they are second class, and for them it is annoying them and angering them because it goes against their religion. And it's like women are being thought that they are nothing, and men are thought that women are nothing. So for women to be free and everything, it goes against Muhammad and his teachings, and that's why they were raping them, out of hate and violence. Nothing to do with that they were horny. It was the violence to teach them that they shouldn't be free, they shouldn't be walking around that or having a good time, because women aren't allowed to be free. That is why they were being raped. Anyway, so that's a misconception about that. Sharia patrols and Sharia control zones are popping up all over Europe. So basically, there's Muslims control areas where they target women and alcohol, people who are drinking. Violence against women and Jews have risen over 100% higher than it was before the so-called refugees. The number is just doubles and triples the amount. With Jews leaving, increase of rapes of non-Muslims accordance with the Sharia. The establishment are more concerned about hiding the facts than preventing them. To the Bonry Show. Today is Wednesday, the day of knowledge, and today we are talking about Sharia on ITV.ie and Irish News. So, as I was talking earlier on, we're talking about Sharia. So this is how it's affecting us. The authorities are hiding and protecting the violence instead of trying to prevent them. They're more interested in hiding and covering up. So the first place that we were looking at is schools. Schools have been asked for prayer times, for a place for worship, for the textbooks to be Islamic or Sharia compliant. So all the books have to be Sharia compliant. So that's basically till Islam is great. And so there's control at the very beginning of schools. Then you see the banking system. So it's being segregated for Muslims and non-Muslims. So there's Sharia financing. So they get better financing and better deals in the banks. Banks becoming Sharia compliant in financial law. So everywhere's becoming Sharia compliant. University asked to have gender segregations, swimming times, and swimming pools. and other sports are becoming gender segregated. Hospitals are being sued for not providing Sharia compliant treatment. Nothing about Islam can be criticized. Jails are becoming jihad recruitments, known for better treatments if you're Muslims. Workplaces are having to have worship rooms and times for prayer accordance to Sharia law. Islamic so-called refugees are bringing 4 wives, underage wives, and getting welfare and medical treatment. Authorities are not acting when female mutilation is happening to children or women. There is something like 100 a day new cases in the UK. Not one person has ever been charged in the United Kingdom. That is literally where they chop the child's clitoris off, and a lot of the times they sew her up bleeding. Some of them die. There's a little girl in Dublin who died. Last year there was a 2-year-old who were chopped, but nobody's getting charged. So the authorities are complete ignoring or hiding and protecting. We pay for the female mutilation clinics in countries through our taxes. The authorities are covering it up. They lie and protect Islam. So this is also how Sharia law will affect us, that the authorities are bringing in on top of us. There's no freedom of religion. There's no freedom of speech, as we've seen. There's no freedom of thoughts. If you're thinking bad things about Islam. There's no freedom of artistic expression. There's no freedom of press. No equality of people. A non-Muslim, a kafir, can never be the same as a Muslim. There's no equality with women's rights. One law for men, Muslim men, different from women and from non-Muslims. As an observant Muslim, you're absolutely to obey Sharia law and put Sharia and Islamic laws above all laws of the land you're in. Part of your obligations to override the constitution of any state laws as much as you can. There's no equal protection under Sharia for different classes of people. Women can be beaten. Non-Muslims cannot bear arms. No democracy, since democracy means non-Muslims are equal to Muslims. No Muslims, for non-Muslims, which are dhimmas, are second-class subjects. I've explained to you what dhimmas is. That's when they're charging them with taxes. For Christian taxes, I went through the dhimmas before with you. Unlike common law, Sharia law is non-interpretive, nor can it be changed. Political regime, because it is a powerful political system. It concerns you. Political or jihad, of war, peace. When they say it's a religion of peace, it only comes after you submit to Islam. So these are scary times. So this is the Sharia law, and this is basically what they have. And as you can see, it's breaking down every part of our freedom. This is a story from Muhammad himself. This is the man that they Muslims call the most perfect man, that you are not allowed to criticize. And now that they've brought it into the EU, you are not allowed to even condemn or criticize or even think bad things. In Medina, Muhammad sat all day beside his 12-year-old wife. He watched as 800 Jews' heads were chopped off by a sword. The heads were chopped off because the Jews said Muhammad wasn't a prophet. So they saw this as a perfect sacrificed act. Muslims are people. uh, Muslims are people and they vary, but Islam cannot vary. It is complete control. And they see this man, Muhammad, as the perfect man, and all Muslims must follow and intimidate to the smallest details of Muhammad's life in the Sunnah. Sharia is a manual for Islam. There is nothing like it that we have to compare to it. This is another one. Allah made men superior to women because men spend to support them. Therefore, virtues of women are only the ones that are obedient to men. Otherwise, you can beat them. These are what is coming for. This is what our government has brought in. So it's so important that on the Wednesdays that you listen in and that you understand Islam and you stop listening to it. You've all mostly worked out that it is not a religion of peace, it's a religion of submit. And submit to it, and then there's supposed to be peace when everybody is become Muslims. They've all believed that all land is Islamic law, and that when you return to the true religion, then there will be somehow peace, as long as you follow Islam exactly to it. But you even see Muslims fighting with other Muslims. You can never get the peace because it's not based on a peaceful man, and the whole religion is nothing to do with peace. Now there is Muslims who vaguely know it and don't actually even know the verses. And some of them don't even read the Quran. A bit like, Christians, they don't know the Bible, which that's fine. But you got to remember that most of them will follow it because they pray 5 times a day. And in those 5 times, it's hatred towards Jewish. It's hatred to democracy, to our way of life. And that is what the EU and our governments are bringing in. It's a very, very dangerous. It's very dangerous for women especially. And this is moving further and further in as the mosques come in. They take control of those areas. And our hospitals, our universities, our schools, our banks, everything. It's complete from everything you wake up. It's complete control. So thank you very much for listening on the Knowledge of Wednesday. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Again, if you have any questions or you want to know anything, it's news@irishnews.net or contact itv.ie or Irish News Radio. Thank you so much for listening again on the Bon Ree Show every night at 8 o'clock.
You are listening to Irish News Radio at irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.
It's Wednesday. You're listening to the Bon Ree Show on itv.ie and Irish News Radio. Today we were talking about Sharia law, and I was explaining it to you. And the problem again, which with a lot to do with Islam, is our government and the authorities. Sharia is the basis for everything on the demand on Westerns. Today, the workplace is being given up room, or it could be sued for Islamic prayer. This is to implement Sharia law. So everything that we were talking about today is because our government is allowing and helping this grow and putting our lives in danger. So when you just think about it, it's the workplace. When a Muslim wears the headscarf, it shows obedience to Sharia law. The media don't make critical comments about Islam. It's also dangerous. When textbooks are vetted by Muslims to organize before accordance to Sharia, wills and testimonies and punishments. Jihad means war against the kafir, which is non-Muslim, to establish Islam. In the Quran, you are commanded to fight. Although you may not like it, you may hate something that is good for you and love something that is bad for you. Make war on Jews and Christians. First invite them to Islam, then invite them to pray. Then invite jizat, which is the tax. If they reject the conversion and jizat, then attack them. The caliphate fight is for others until they become Muslim. There from kafir is jihad. Quran 4 verse 489. They will have you all become kafirs like them, so you will all be the same. Therefore do not take any of them as friends until they have abandoned their homes to fight for Allah's cause. But if they turn back, find them and kill them wherever they are. The whole world must submit to Islam. Kafirs are the enemy simply by not being Muslim. Violence and terror are made sacred by the Quran. Peace can only come with submission to Islam. Muhammad, I've been ordered to wage war against mankind until they accept that there is no God but Allah. Spoken through me, when they do these things, I will protect their lives and their property, while others justification by Sharia, in which cause their fate lies with Allah's hands. So he says he will protect their lives and their properties, where otherwise if they don't, then they're justified by Sharia, in which cause their fate lies with Allah's hands. Muhammad, to battle kafirs in jihad, for even one day is greater than the entire earth and everything on it. A spot in paradise, smaller than your riding crop, is greater than the entire earth and everything on it. A day or night to travel in jihad, greater than everything and the entire world and everything on it. So he's saying, like, if you fight and kill the kafirs, you will get a spot in paradise, and it's bigger and better than everything in the world and everything on it. That is why Islam does not belong in the West, and that is why our governments and our authorities are putting our lives in jeopardy. This is the thoughts, and this is what they read, and this is what they pray, and this is what they practice. This is Sharia law. Thank you for listening on the Bonry Show. Today is Knowledge Wednesday. You're listening to the Bonry Show. Today is Wednesday, Knowledge Wednesday. We're talking about Sharia law. Another interesting verse. To come closer to Allah through the blood of the infidels. Go and fight against the enemies of Allah. Another interesting, right, this is in a sunnah. Men were to lay injunctions of women lightly, for they were prisoners of men, and no control over their person. Large part of the trilogy is to be not to be good Muslim, but about non-Muslims and war on non-Muslims. The hadith equates camels and women in the same breath. Thank you for listening on the Bon Ree Show on Wednesday, Knowledge Wednesday.
You are listening to Irish News Radio and irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.